Well, you know, we're getting into the heat of the summer and we want our plants to look great. I'm with Steve Carper from the Regional Water Providers Consortium with tips for all of us. So we really want to make our gardens and our lawns look great. So what kind of tips do you have for us?
Well, you know, things have really progressed in the last few years in terms of technology for the yard, and there's some really great new controllers out there that make things really simple at a great price point and use the weather conditions to make scheduling adjustments. But if you're not quite ready to make that leap in terms of your budget, there's also always great simple adjustments that you can do to your sprinkler systems to make sure that what you have is performing really well. So we'll talk about that.
All right, and you know, sometimes those systems are on in the middle of the night or early in the morning, so really we need to be out in our gardens and seeing what's going on.
That's exactly right. So, you know, once or twice a year, turn your system on and walk through and observe how things are performing. And we're going to talk about some really, again, typical things that you want to make adjustments for to help improve.
Let's see.
So one of the first things you want to do, sprinklers are out in the landscape and things change, and so they can tilt and get out of alignment, which then means maybe the water's not going to spray where you really intended it to. So there's some simple things that you can do in terms of correcting that. A handy little trowel, dig around the side of the sprinkler, pull out just enough dirt to let you sort of manipulate the head to get it basically vertical with the grade. Then the other thing that you can do, if the water is not necessarily spraying the right direction, you can simply, while it's performing, grab a hold of this stem and gently give it a twist to make sure that things are aligned properly. And then, depending on the type of nozzle that you have, you can also make very simple adjustments to the radius, how far the water is going. You really ideally want water from each sprinkler nozzle to reach the other sprinkler next to it. We call it head-to-head coverage.
Okay.
So for actually this type of head, this is called a multi-stream rotator. There's a special type of a tool that you flip over the top here, and you can just twist it clockwise, counterclockwise, and that will adjust, again, the arc to get, for example, a half circle or a quarter circle, whatever it is. If you're spraying your lawn, you just want to kind of turn the left side to align with the left border,
right,
and then you put the tool on and open it or constrict it to align with the right side.
Right.
And then, for example, if my sprinkler is spraying too far or not far enough, then there's a little screwdriver tip that fits into the top of that nozzle, and turning it to the right is going to constrict the flow, kind of the old righty-tighty, lefty-loosey.
Yeah, oh, good.
So turning it to the right will sort of tighten things down, will constrict the radius to a smaller throwing radius, and turning it to the left will open it up as far as it will go. There's generally 3 types of nozzle. Greater capacity to go farther and farther. It's usually 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 series sort of a thing. And then also another thing, if, say for example, you're watering an area and the plants have gotten mature, they don't need as much water or perhaps any more supplemental water, you can simply tighten that down all the way and essentially shut this sprinkler off without having to necessarily dig it up, cap it off, and do more work than you're comfortable doing.
Right.
So that's another thing to really keep in mind. A third thing we want to talk about is perhaps you don't have this really efficient type of nozzle.
Oh, sure. I've seen these. These are the older type.
Yeah, so it's really a simple upgrade, and when the sprinkler is up like this, and you can sort of get your fingers down in there and lift it up when it's not performing or operating. It can be a little bit tricky, but simply
it's that easy, right?
Just turn it to the left. It's usually just on there finger tight. Pull that nozzle out, and then you would grab the other nozzle, and it has its own filter in there, and that screen just keeps the orifice from getting clogged up when it's operating. Drop it down in there. If you're buying new ones, you just want to make sure if these threads are male or female, that the nozzles that you get are compatible, built the same way. Screw it back on there, and it's really handy. You can sort of see that the nozzle indicates what the pattern is. So that helps you, once you have it back in place, to sort of turn things to the right alignment. So again, you're spraying the water where it needs to go.
So Steve, those are great tips about changing the heads, but what if we want to go to that next level of great irrigation?
Well, there's another thing you can do. You may have noticed in the last few weeks in the middle of summer, we've had some significant effective rainfall along with some thunder and lightning. A great tool that you can use, and it's really effective for times like that when we're getting effective rainfall. That's the key thing to think about. Plus, summer and fall months when we might need to be doing some supplemental watering, but we also still are getting some effective rainfall. You can add a rain sensor similar to your typical irrigation controller. And what this does, it has some discs inside here that when effective, not just a little sprinkle, that's not going to really help your plants much, but it really gets in there and saturates this little disc, and you can sort of set it to an eighth, a quarter, a half inch, whatever is right for your system. And what it will do is basically inhibit the operation of the irrigation system without you having to remember to go turn it off.
Oh, that's great.
When these discs dry out, after 24 hours, 36 hours, that's kind of where the setting comes in. Then it resumes functionality and you're back off taking good care of your plants.
Ah, that is great. And then what if that's like way over my head? I mean, that's just, I can't do that. I'm nervous about it.
If any of the things we're talking about today are you're not comfortable taking that on yourself, by all means hire a landscape contractor that's licensed, bonded, insured in the state of Oregon to do irrigation work. That's really key. If you can, get a couple bids to do the work that you're interested in, talk to them, and then trust your instincts on who to go with.
And really, you have so much information on your website,
That's
so
right.
tell us that website again.
So regionalh2o.org, we've got some basic information that can help you select a landscape contractor, so check out the website and give us a call if you have any questions.
Well, we love having Steve and his crew out here to always tell us about tips. So for more information, go to gardentime.tv and we can click you over to that website and you can really water effectively this season. Thanks so much.
Thank you.